Since so, why not reveal the truth? Saying that, he pulls out a real gun. If John is shot and revives, he'll definitely believe everything he says. This move had everyone on edge. They were just discussing a story. No need for real drama, right? Thankfully, the psychologist didn't actually pull the trigger. In the end, he put away the gun to leave. The biologist told John the psychologist was upset due to his recent wife's death and couldn't accept John's words. Sean rushed after him. He feared the psychologist's drastic actions, offering to keep the weapon. When he opened the magazine, he discovered it was completely empty. Back in the house, John had planned to wrap things up, but the others were burning with curiosity to uncover the truth and began to interrogate him. They asked John if he met any other immortals. He said he did in the 17th century and sensed he was special. They chatted for 2 days. It turned out this person was from another time and space, but they still couldn't verify each other's words and began suspecting one another like psychological chess. So they parted ways, only to reunite 200 years later in Brussels train station. But the guy vanished into the crowd in an instant. The biologist asked John about superhuman's usual activities, and John replied he joined the tribe in Papua New Guinea, where the locals worship him like an immortal god and even built him a giant statue. He was loving every minute of it. Old Black asked if he believed in any religion. John replied he once did, but now has ditched it. Old Black asked if John had met any religious historical figures, like those in the Bible. John's reluctance to answer piqued everyone's curiosity even more. The archaeologist guessed, could John really be from the Bible? The female scholar asked if he was one of the 12 apostles. John clarified they weren't real apostles and hadn't preached. The archaeologist pressed him for his basis. John awkwardly admitted that myths are just stories humans have spun together. The truth is quite simple. The original New Testament was like just under 100 words. This left a massive impact on the nearby female professor. She was a devout Christian, but what John said next totally shook her worldview. John recounted how after studying under the Buddha, she returned to the Mediterranean, transforming into an Etruscan. She sneaked into ancient Rome, but it was drenched in bloodshed, so she spread Buddhist teachings modernly. It clashed with the Roman regime, and the truth emerged. John is Jesus. But then myths got mashed in. Old Black doubted the cross, and John explained his Eastern method to slow life's bodily processes. Using that technique, he successfully faked his own death to trick everyone. When his followers took him down from the cross, after burying him in a cave, he gradually returned to normal. But unexpectedly, he was discovered as he tried to sneak away. Thus the myth of Jesus' resurrection emerged. Everyone's worldview got a serious shake-up. Who would have thought the Saviour is an academic? Sean continued, saying the priests spread tales of hell and paradise. They used temptation and fear for mind control completely opposite of his original intent. This was nearly too much for the faithful female professor to handle. She couldn't accept what he was saying. Just then, the psychologist suddenly returned. She came to apologize to John after all. But little did she know that during her brief absence, John had turned into Jesus. This far-fetched tale made the psychologist momentarily suspect he might be insane. Meanwhile, the night had deepened. Staying here seemed futile. The psychologist abruptly told John, though I doubt you're crazy, admit it's absurd. Otherwise, I'll have no choice but to send you to a mental hospital. He felt the pressure and went silent for a moment, then broke it with everyone staring at him. It's all just a story. Thanks for the inspiration, everyone. His words seemed to give everyone courage. While they couldn't refute what John had said, they just hoped it was. Now that John confessed, everyone felt relieved and left, starting to say goodbye. Before leaving, the female scholar pointed to John's name. John Oldman seems like a pun, as Oldman corresponds to an older person. Others began to leave one by one, but the young female professor didn't believe John would deceive them, though she didn't want to ask more. Curious about the pun NY name, she asked John if he had any other pun-related names. John casually listed a few. For instance, John Purley evokes old-time vibes. John Savage signifies the wild man, and John Party was indeed a name he adopted back in Boston some 60 years ago. To John's surprise, the psychologist overheard him and interrupted. I never taught you chemistry. I genuinely don't believe you. Your mother's name is Nora. Nora, that's right. No, Nora. My mother, I reject this. My dog's name is Nora. We had that name when I was alive. Dog. Did a group of dogs make a pact to do this together? Quick look. Our esteemed customers have arrived. Turns out the psychologist is John's kid. But the shock was too much for John to handle, and in a fit of distress, he suffered a heart attack, and sadly John watched helplessly as his child passed before him, showing no sign of sorrow. Perhaps he had grown numb to it by now. After sorting everything out, John prepped to drive away, but he took one last glance back. Maybe he wanted to give the female professor. As the young female professor slowly walked toward the car, this story came to a close. Despite being a low-budget film from 2007, the script matched up against any big-budget movie. Sure, the first watch might feel a bit dull, but after a few more views, You'll realize every line is packed with nuggets. The movie digs into whether John truly lived for 14,000 years, though John's tale couldn't be verified. Nobody could prove he was making it